Thank you for joining me on 13 Plus. I'm Cali Lichter, and this is On the Docket, a weekly recap of crime and court in and around the state of Michigan. This week, we take a deeper dive into a stabbing at a West Michigan Walmart. With 13 on your side uncovered about the suspect's past. And after 5 months of investigation, what 13 on your side found out about the former treasurer of a Grand Rapids church. All that and more is On the Docket. On Friday, August 1st, just after 9 p.m., Kent County Sheriff's deputies were called to the Comstock Park Walmart for reports of a stabbing and a suspect in custody thanks to bystanders. On Monday, 29-year-old Christian Thompson was charged with assault with intent to do great bodily harm less than murder for allegedly attacking a 23-year-old Hispanic man in the department store. We read through the court docs to find out what witnesses and the suspect say happened. Deputies were called to the Comstock Park Walmart for a stabbing. The initial call said there was a man running on foot towards the Sonic, away from the people. But prior to deputies arriving, they were told that multiple bystanders had the suspect in custody in the parking lot near a cart return. The suspect, identified as Christian Thompson, was placed into custody and brought in for an interview. One of the witnesses in the parking lot was packing up groceries, according to court docs, when he saw Thompson being chased in the parking lot by another man who was yelling that Thompson had stabbed someone. When the witness heard this, he initially tried to run after Thompson. But then the witness told deputies that he got into his car and used his car to hit Thompson in order to stop him, going around 20 miles per hour. Thompson was then running around the cart return when the witness said he was able to grab a shopping cart and hit him with it, knocking him down and ultimately getting him placed into custody. Another witness, who was the victim's brother, said he, the victim, and their friend were looking at stereos in the automotive section of the store when a man identified as Thompson approached them from behind and started attacking the victim. Court documents say the brother thought Thompson was just punching, but then he quickly realized Thompson was stabbing once he noticed the blood. They were all able to get to the front of the store and call for help. The brother said there was no prior altercation to the attack, saying it was totally random and they didn't know Thompson. Deputies were able to talk to the victim in the hospital using a translator. Although the victim was under medication at the time of the interview, deputies said he was alert and coherent. He told deputies he was in the Walmart with his brother and their friend, looking at speakers in the audio section, when suddenly he felt something on his back and turned around, only to be stabbed 2 more times, once in the neck and once in the chest. He said he thought he was being punched at first, but then noticed blood. He told deputies he ran to the bike section, then toward the pharmacy to look for items to stop the bleeding. The court documents say he had 3 different wounds, one in the back, one in the chest, and the other in the front of the neck. Then the court documents get into the interview with Thompson. For the first half of the interview, detectives say Thompson was stating where he was in the store and all the areas of the Walmart he had visited. He was, quote, adamant that there was no altercation and he didn't speak to anyone inside the Walmart. Detectives say Thompson told them he was looking for his truck, which he thought was stolen, and was, quote, randomly hit by a car and attacked by multiple people. Detectives say Thompson told them he was looking for his truck, which he thought was stolen, and he was, quote, randomly hit by a car and attacked by multiple people. He told detectives he was unsure of the reason for that attack and had no idea why he was in custody. Eventually, detectives told Thompson they had evidence of the incident and, quote, explained the importance of telling the truth. Thompson admitted to the altercation, according to the docs, but said it was only 1 punch to the chest. He denied there being any weapons involved but his personal fist. Detectives then showed Thompson video from the incident and told him about the victim's injuries, which required surgery. Detectives say Thompson admitted that he did, in fact, have a knife in his hand and attack the closest out of the 3 men in the group. He was able to identify the victim. Thompson also described the knife as steel with a brown handle to detectives. His explanation to detectives for the attack was that he, quote, doesn't like bullies and felt the group may have had something to do with his truck being stolen. Thompson told detectives he wanted to scare the people in the store and never had any intention of hurting anyone. According to the documents, he didn't go to the Walmart to get into the altercation. It was just a spur-of-the-moment thing due to him being frustrated about him not being able to find his truck.
Mr. Thompson, you're before the court. I'm Judge O'Hara here in the 63rd District Court. You're before the court for your video arraignment on a charge of assault with intent to commit great bodily harm less than murder. And the charge reads as follows. On August 2nd, 2025, at 3999 Alpine Avenue Northwest, Alpine Township, Kent County, Michigan, that you did make an assault upon with the intent to commit great bodily harm less than the crime of murder. It's a criminal felony, maximum 10 years in the Michigan Department of Corrections, and a fine of up to $5,000. Do you understand the charge and the maximum penalties?
Yeah, I understand.
Mr. Hillary is here today as your attorney in a limited scope capacity here today to represent you and protect your legal interests. Do you understand?
Yeah.
You have certain rights here, Mr. Thompson. Those felony rights include your right to a lawyer, your right to remain silent. Anything you say orally or in writing can be used against you in a court of law. You have the right to the presence of a lawyer during any questioning, and if you cannot afford to hire your own lawyer, the court would appoint a lawyer for you. The recommendation is no PR bond, and the risk factors include that the charge of assault with intent to commit great bodily harm is a very serious felony, and that the defendant has a criminal record which includes a prison sentence. The court is concerned with the charge itself, although the defendant's presumed innocent of the charge, but the charge itself is a violent felony charge, assault with intent to commit great bodily harm. The court also has before it the affidavit of probable cause, which is contained within the public court file, sworn to by the arresting officer, that states in summary fashion that law enforcement was dispatched to a stabbing incident back on August 1st at the Walmart store on Alpine, indicating that there was a white male wearing a black shirt and dark shorts running on foot out of Walmart, across the parking lot, and multiple bystanders had corralled the suspect, and ultimately law enforcement took the defendant into custody. Witnesses of the event include the victim's brother, who indicated that he and the victim in this case were in the Walmart looking at stereos, and when a white male with a black shirt and gray shorts approached them from behind and began attacking the victim. He was attacked once in the back, once in the neck, and once in the chest. Ultimately, the defendant was taken into custody, and he remains at the Kent County Jail at this point in time. The court is concerned regarding the unprovoked attack of a random person in our community, which raises significant concern for public safety. The victim sustained serious injuries that required surgery and hospitalization. The defendant has no family ties to Kent County and is from California and has served a prison sentence in California. And the court is ultimately concerned regarding the safety of our community and also risk of flight. It is alleged, not proven, that the victim was stabbed in the back and neck and chest. All three of those wounds could have resulted in the death of the victim himself. The court is very concerned regarding the safety of our community, and the court sets bond in the amount of $500,000, cash or surety. Bond conditions: reporting to court services within 24 hours of release. Number 2, no mind-altering substances, alcohol, marijuana, or drugs. And number 3, the defendant may not leave the state of Michigan. Thank you very much.
After it was put on the record that Thompson was in Michigan for a job that fell through and originally has ties to California, where he also has a criminal history. We want to see if the previous criminal history could have been a red flag for law enforcement. What we found was a multi-year prison stay for arson and a multi-million-dollar bond. The man accused of stabbing another man unprovoked in a Comstock Park Walmart previously spent time in California prison, court documents obtained by 13 on Your Side reveal. Christian Thompson is currently charged with assault with intent to commit great bodily harm less than murder after Kent County Sheriff's detectives say he stabbed a man unprovoked multiple times on August 1st at the department store. Nearly a decade ago, Thompson was arrested in California, his home state, on multiple arson-related charges. In a felony complaint obtained by 13 on Your Side out of Riverside County, California, it says on November 22, 2014, Thompson, quote, willfully, unlawfully, and maliciously set fire to a structure in forest land using a device designated to accelerate the fire and delay ignition. On the same day in November, the document says Thompson entered a building with intent to commit theft and a felony. A week later, the doc says he again set fire to a property and caused injury to a person, structure, forest land, and property of another. Also on that date, he says he unlawfully had a flammable, explosive, and combustible material with the intent to maliciously use the material to set fire and burn a structure, forest land, and property. On December 7, 2014, it was alleged he again set a fire that injured a person, structure, forest land, and property of another, and unlawfully had a flammable, explosive, and combustible material with the intent to maliciously use the material to set fire and burn a structure, forest land, and property. He was arrested in February 2015 with a bond set at $5 million. According to court records in California, he did undergo a competency exam as the court had doubts to Thompson's mental competence. He was deemed competent to resume court proceedings. He pleaded guilty to the first count of arson with the enhanced charge and was sentenced to 8 years in California State Prison in December 2016. He was given over 3 years of credit, spending just shy of 5 years in prison. He also had to pay over $19,000 to one of the victims. Next on the docket, what we're learning about an Ottawa County teacher accused of sexually assaulting a student during class, and why some Wyoming neighbors are saying something needs to be done about car crashes. We're learning more about a former Coopersville middle school teacher accused of sexually assaulting a student while at school. According to probable cause documents, an investigation into Peter Twork started on May 1st after concerns were raised due to Twork allegedly talking to students on Snapchat. Through the investigation, detectives got in contact with a minor victim who was under 15 years old. She told detectives that while in Twork's classroom, he would, quote, occasionally, but on multiple occasions, squeeze and fondle her backside for a prolonged time. She told detectives this happened while no one was in the classroom and while others were in the classroom but not looking. She also told detectives in court documents that while she was being touched, Twork would ask her what style of underwear she was wearing, also asking if she would tell anyone because it could get him in trouble. Detectives also spoke to a witness, another student, who said she had forgotten her water bottle in the classroom and went back to get it. When she did, she allegedly saw Twork assaulting the victim. When detectives interviewed Twork, court documents say Twork acknowledged there had been contact with the student's backside weeks prior, but stated it was an accident. Twork is charged with criminal sexual conduct in the second degree. Enough is enough, says one Wyoming neighborhood. They're fed up with people speeding down their street. On August 4th, witnesses say a speeding car flipped over multiple times on Prairie Parkway, nearly slamming into a home. Our Lance Wilhelm went to the neighborhood and spoke with neighbors who saw it happen.
It looked like a scene out of the Fast and Furious movie. They literally happened so fast.
Down street lamps, crushed mailboxes, and debris everywhere.
It's very much a problem.
Brittany Rose now lives on Prairie Parkway in Wyoming, and she says she saw a car that was flying down the road Monday night crash.
That literally looked up and the car was flipping.
It rolled over several times, she says, until it landed right next to a neighbor's house.
And they were literally going over 80, I know for sure, because it was literally so fast. So fast. I blinked and it was already done.
But she says this isn't the first time an accident like this has happened, estimating around 10 over the course of the last year and seeing a handful of crashes during just the past couple of months.
Not even a month ago, there was an old lady that hit a left onto Prairie Parkway off of Taft, and she hit her gas instead of her brakes, and she flew all the way up here into the trees.
The culprit, she says speeding drivers, the curve of the road, overgrown trees along the bend, and a lack of lights are to blame.
It's dark unless you're in your car looking with your headlights.
And this pattern of scary driving right in front of her house makes her worried for her family.
Lots. I have a 4-year-old with autism, and that's one of my biggest worries is her coming out into the street and somebody hitting her.
Brittany says she hopes to see changes along the parkway put an end to the crashes, or at least prevent some of them.
I hope that they would put like a stoplight here, or even do something with cutting these trees down to make it more visible so they can see the actual road, because they can't see nothing until they hit that corner.
Next on the docket, how voters in August are shaping the future of public safety in Muskegon. And we uncover how a traveling pastor charged with sexually abusing children is connected to Grand Rapids. Muskegon Township voters approved a millage renewal for public safety, but rejected a proposed increase. The police and fire chiefs told our Lance Wilhelm they don't think another public safety millage increase will be showing up on ballots again anytime soon. So they're hoping to use the funds they do have as effectively as possible, while also trying to get more funding in other ways like grants.
Muskegon Township voters shot down an increase to the public safety millage on Tuesday, the equivalent to a roughly additional $1.3 million. And although the police and fire departments say that extra funding would have been nice, they also say they're thankful for the sustained funding they already have.
We're not just barely below the average. If you were to double our police department tomorrow, we would still be just under the average.
Not only will the Muskegon Township Police Department not be doubling, it won't be adding any officers at all.
Our guys are basically doing double and triple tasks that they shouldn't be having to do.
Muskegon Township voters shot down a proposal Tuesday to increase the public safety millage, money that goes to the local police and fire departments.
That would have been nice, but I respect what the voters chose.
The millage increase would have meant roughly an additional $1.3 million per year from taxpayers, doubling the current amount generated from the public safety millage. That increased funding would have gone to hiring additional staff and upkeeping equipment. Voters instead chose to keep the current millage, which means that some improvements that the departments were hoping for, like shortened response times, won't be as feasible.
And if you've ever been in a situation where you need to call 911 and you need officers or fire there quickly, you understand how important response times are.
With prices on everything going up, the police and fire departments have to learn how to do more with less, similar to what residents are going through in their own homes.
Like if you break it down to what the maintenance cost alone for a fire engine, it's about $100,000 a year.
According to the fire department, the cost of purchasing a fire engine like this one before COVID was roughly $500,000. Now, that number is over $1 million. We
really are stewards of the finances that the public gives to us, and we want to stretch that dollar the best we can. So we're going to regroup, we're going to put a plan in place, and we're going to make sure that we are fiscally responsible.
But regardless of the shot-down budget bump, both the fire and police chiefs reiterated that they are thankful for the funding that the public has already given them.
Yeah, I'm going to tell my voters all day long, thank you for making it out to the polls. Thank you for the renewal. Thank you for keeping us maintaining where we've been. Of course, do we want to grow and move forward? Yes, and we will. It just might be at a slower rate.
The police and fire chiefs tell us they think it's unlikely that another increased millage proposal would be on any ballots in the near future. So for now, they're just looking at how to use the funding they currently have as effectively as possible.
An emotional day in a Kent County courtroom as a judge sentenced a man to decades in prison for killing his wife. Marcus Lofton shot his estranged wife, Alicia Lofton, multiple times just a day after she served him divorce papers. A Grand Rapids man will spend over 2 decades in prison for killing his wife in 2023. It happened the day after Alicia Lofton served Marcus Lofton divorce papers, just 6 months after they were married. He went to trial in May, but it ended in a mistrial. Then, months later, Lofton pleaded guilty to felony firearm and second-degree murder in her killing.
The day that I found out she was gone, I felt like my legs collapsed.
Several family members of Alicia addressed Lofton in court, saying they disapproved of him and knew he wasn't right for her, like her aunt Jennifer Lee.
I feel that he wasn't introduced to the family because he's an embarrassment.
Alicia's father, Arthur Joseph, had strong words for Lofton.
I just want the court to know that this guy is a piece of garbage. My daughter introduced me to this guy one time, and I didn't like him from minute one.
And said Alicia hid her marriage from her family because they despised him.
Not much more I can say about this guy other than I wish I could handle this and serve justice on his ass right now. And that's it.
Alicia's daughter stared directly at Lofton as she told him he took her biggest supporter away from her.
So I just want you to know you will never win. And I want you to think about this for the rest of your life.
While Lofton's attorney says he's remorseful, Lofton was still sentenced to 2 years for felony firearm, followed by 25 to 50 for second-degree murder per the plea deal. Judge Scott A. Noto left Lofton with a brief statement before he was taken away.
I don't have anything further to say, Mr. Lofton. I think Mr. Joseph said it best, so I refer you to his words.
In March of 2025, 13 on Your Side was contacted by a woman who had concerns about a member of her church in Grand Rapids. She says he was being investigated for sex crimes against children, but had a lack of answers. This week, that man was arrested in Maryland, and here's what we found. Tori Grunwell started going to the New Chapel Church in Comstock Park in 2020. She was childhood friends with and a housekeeper for the church's pastor.
Always been able to reach out to them, with concerns and that kind of stuff until recently. And then when I started making my concerns known, they stopped responding to me.
Grunwell came to 13 on Your Side in March of this year expressing concerns about a member of the church, a different pastor, Tommy Pinkerton.
I was one of the youth group leaders and the treasurer of our church on the board since the beginning of the start of this church 10 years ago. He's been very active in our church as a youth pastor and being a traveling evangelist.
According to screenshots taken from the church's website in March, Pinkerton was listed as the church's treasurer. He's not anymore, and his recorded messages have been scrubbed from their website. Pinkerton was one of her son's youth leaders, and she was already uncomfortable by his actions at the church.
Went out of his way during services to point out my son and talk about how anointed he was, and the face of God is upon him, and all of these really faith-based things coming out of his mouth to my son.
She said she contacted multiple people in the church about the allegations.
In that conversation, they told me it was true, and that they just kept asking how I knew. They wanted to know the people who told me and how this information got out.
But as she kept pressing for answers, she says she was kicked out of the church and blocked by people she considered her church family.
I'm just praying that all the truth comes out and that anybody who has been betrayed in this receives the answers that they deserve for our kids.
Grunwell has pleaded guilty to a misdemeanor charge for threatening the lead pastor at New Chapel, which she said was because she wasn't getting answers. For months, 13 on Your Side has looked into Pinkerton, trying to find arrest records. Until this week, when Pinkerton was arrested in Georgia and extradited to Maryland. Pinkerton is charged in Baltimore County with multiple counts of child abuse, assault, sexual abuse of a minor, and sexual offense. The investigation into Pinkerton started in October of last year, when multiple men came forward expressing they were abused by Pinkerton while a part of his youth group in Maryland between 2006 and 2010. The men claimed Pinkerton had a group of minor boys known as favorites, with the victims claiming Pinkerton would sexually assault them primarily at his home in Maryland, often, as the court documents claim, justifying it with religion. In a statement to 13 on Your Side, New Chapel Church said, "We were heartbroken to hear of these serious allegations that occurred in Baltimore, Maryland nearly 20 years ago, and communicated the situation to our church family after severing all ties with the accused several months back. Our prayers and continued cooperation are toward justice for the victims." Detectives do believe there may be more victims of Pinkerton's abuse who have yet to come forward. Anyone with information is asked to contact the Baltimore County Crimes Against Children Unit. At this time, Pinkerton is not charged with any crimes in Michigan. Thanks for joining me in this episode of On the Docket on 13+. We have new episodes releasing every week, taking you into the courtroom for the latest updates and deep dives on crime in and around West Michigan. In the meantime, we'll bring you the latest on crime in court, both online and on air at 13onyourside.com. And when breaking news affects you and your community, we stream live on 13+ with what you need to know right when you need to know. We'll see you next time with updates on what's on the docket.